So the plan then?
As the Nazarene said himself, be the birds that snatch the seeds. We will oppress those who heard him teach.
But that list is endless. Where would we even start?
Perhaps the disciples.
Waste of time. They're all cowering in a house somewhere. They'll die off on their own.
Your idea, then?
Not sure, but something that doesn't scream lesser devil?
Well, if we're offering feedback, critiquing without contributing is the most elder devil thing I have heard.
What does that mean, lesser?
Chiquette means before eviscerating her idea, perhaps offer one of your own.
I have ideas, but the stakes are higher than ever before, so I am thinking before I speak.
Yet here you are still speaking.
What was that?
Are you done? Mammon is correct. The stakes are high. The Nazarene is dead, but our mission is not over.
Your meaning, Hasatan.
What did the Nazarene teach?
Peace.
Forgiveness.
Trust?
Hope.
Their hope did not die with him?
The hope of the enemy has a way of lingering. It is a seed waiting for water, and it is much easier to suffocate a seed than saw down an oak.
Then who shall we be paying a visit to?
You have someone in mind, Chiquette?
I would like to oppress the mother.
The mother.
She would be one of the most heartbroken.
I think she could set off quite the chain reaction. The husband, extended family, the impact could be endless.
You already made up your mind on who else?
Who are you envisioning?
Iscariot.
Speaking of bad ideas, isn't he already gone?
He's distanced, but he's not gone. I think I know how to make sure more than his hope dies. Shiny things weigh heaviest on the soul.
And who am I swaying, Lord?
Who is of interest?
The centurion.
Why him?
He said something strange at Golgotha, almost like a statement of faith.
Under such circumstances, a statement means little.
That's all the Nazarenes seem to require.
I bless your choice. Mammon, Chiquette, and I will hit those close to the Nazarene, and you will strike the Gentiles. You have your marks, then?
Hasatan, what would you like me to press into, to make sure he falters?
Draw him back to his gods. He may still cling to the idea of the Nazarene, though. If that happens, keep him lost and guessing. Don't let him decide. As long as he wanders forever, he is ours.
Yes, Hasatan.
And Mammon, I will join you with Iscariot.
I don't need your help.
The longer he lives, the more time for him to repent and return to the 12. With such high stakes, I wouldn't trust any elder devil alone with this.
For the mother, Hasatan.
Invite her to wrestle with the memories she has and the world she now knows. Perhaps suggest that the God of her youth is not the same God who let her boy die.
Thank you. I will do so, Hasatan.
We will reconvene at day's end. Depart.
Follow this man. Who knows what riches you might find? That's what I heard the first time I met you. Who or what said it, I don't know. All I knew was that if unimaginable treasures were on the line, I would give up anything to find them. And for the first few months, nothing. We slept under the trees, we ate scraps, we rarely got a drop of wine. Follow this man? Why? Because he speaks with conviction? So do the Pharisees. You always made it sound like a crime to want to have a home, a bed, a little extra coin. Honestly, I should have just left. There would have been no shame, others did. But something within me said to stay a little longer. Then you started to draw a crowd. Not just a few, but thousands. I couldn't help it. All the opportunities that came racing into my mind. Just a few drachmas a person to sit and listen to a man of parables. Just a few more to receive a miracle. Family curse that needs exorcising, what are 5 drachmas for internal peace? Mortal wound, what are 10 drachmas to live another 10 years? I could have made us rich, but I quickly got the sense that you wanted none of that. Fine, because then I heard more whispers. Offer to watch over the money. Who knows what riches you might find? There was no trickery. You were busy teaching and clearly had a disdain for coin. Why not let someone with a business mind like me manage the tithe? Easy. What was not easy was suppressing the anger that welled up as those fools dropped their coppers in our plate. We could have used that money for rich food, for good drink, for warm beds. Instead, where did it go? To God. God? What did the infinite need with petty metal? We needed that money. Better yet, we deserved it. All the walking, talking, sitting, listening, praying, anxiety, worry, fear about whether we would eat that night. What good did it do us to drop money we earned from faithfully walking with you in the temple boxes? I never had a chance to tell you, but at night I dreamed of you and I sitting at tables of the highest orders. No, not with those fishermen, though. We would leave them behind and eat with kings. But they were your prize. And the poor, the sick, the sinner. Every door that opened to treasures men could dream of, you closed. Just as I had had enough, I heard one last whisper. Sell him to the priests. Who knows what riches you might find? And exactly 30 pieces of silver is what I found. Not the kind of gold I would have received had we become friends with Herod, but it was good enough for the task. I'd finally afford a nice room, a high-class meal where I was served, and maybe even a little left over for some late-night company. As I went home from Gethsemane, I pictured how full I would finally be. You called yourself the bread, yet you barely fed us. You called yourself the waters that quenched eternal thirst, yet you barely saw all we lacked. I watched a demon-possessed man bow at your feet. I saw a rotting corpse walk out of a tomb. Where were your gifts to us? Where was your treasure for me, Rabbi? Where was the banquet for my faithfulness? You're saying something is wrong with me for taking care of my needs? What did God ever do for me? Nothing. So I did what I always have. I watched out for myself. I didn't sell you for silver. I sold you for favors, for leverage. What I earned in one transaction would bring me more than just coins. It would bring me status, prestige, influence. The Pharisees didn't realize that not only did I own you, I owned them. When I sold you out, I knew nothing would happen. You were too big, too righteous. Everyone loved you. The priests would take you into custody, try you, and let you go as soon as the crowds turned on them. They had just paid me a rich sum for no gain to themselves. Plus, could you imagine how much I could blackmail them for once they let you go? Judas Iscariot would not be trifled with. To be rich and feared, that was my destiny, and I took it. I felt like the greatest man in all Israel. Until I heard you were condemned. That wasn't the plan. That was never the plan. You weren't supposed to die. The whole city knew you were innocent, didn't they? You or Barabbas, and they chose that monster? Then it was like my ears were open to everything you said. I was the one who heard and didn't understand. I was that young man who wouldn't surrender his wealth. I was the full stomach who would die hungry. I had gained riches and lost myself. I was the rich man who wouldn't enter the kingdom. I was the betrayer that you welcomed into your flock from day one. Thief, traitor, murderer, that's all I hear now. I'm stained with these labels, they won't go away. The whispers that told me to follow you for treasures have turned on me. Over and over and over and over and over and over they scream, thief, traitor, murderer! Stop! 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 I tried making things right, but the Pharisees wouldn't let me. There were no other options. You were dead. Forgiveness was gone. Am I supposed to continue on with this burden in my soul? Every time I look at a coin pouch, I'll remember what I did. I'm forever lost. Permanently, I'm sick, and I have damned myself to walk a gallows path to die. And where are you? Dead, and it's my greed that killed you. What else can I do? Apologize to you? What kind of deranged man repents to the dead? Who else will show me mercy now? The Father, the 12? I betrayed him. I betrayed them. Alone. I am the only one fit to judge myself. For my crimes as a traitor, there is only one just verdict. I wish there was another way. But you're gone. All hope of a different path died with you. For whatever it's worth, Rabbi. I am sorry.
I watched our celestial light close its eyes to the atrocity we committed. The earth shook like a child, sobbing for a lost parent. On that cliff, it was like all the venom of man became palpable in the air. How did we get to that moment? Could it have been stopped? Or was it inevitable? Is this the kind of violence seared into our nature? Those not in the Legion don't understand. They beat the compassion out of us. They train us so that it is easy to run a spear through another man out in the heat of battle. You just wipe the humanity away from whatever you are looking at, and all that stands before you is a cunning beast with a sword instead of claws. That thing is easy to kill, because it is also out to kill you. When they send you out to Golgotha, it's the same. The generals tell you simply grab the beast, pin it down, strap it to the beams, and hoist it up. Just like a good centurion, I would move on. But this man, they never told me what he did. Never explained the crime. Something about the Jews and their priests. Nothing evil, nefarious. Merely a man on the wrong side of opinion. Nothing to spill blood over. But we did. We tore open his back. We beat him with rods. We even crowned him before we hoisted him up. With every hammer strike against a nail, I tried to do what they said a good centurion does. I denied him his humanity. As I sat back in the crowd, I wiped his blood against my armor, and I thought I was going mad. No matter how convinced I was that my hands were clean, they still felt drenched. This blood, his blood, the stain still feels permanent. But am I a madman? Does no one remember the stories of Zeus? That gods do not bleed. That the divine do not die. Then what am I to make of this? As creation screamed, I heard the man whose hands I drove nails through, whose feet I pinned to timber, whose scalp I merged with briars. I heard him forgive. The gods do not forgive. Zeus and his kind destroyed the disrespectful. They damned whoever they disliked, and they devoured each other. And here is this man, Jesus, suffocating through collapsed lungs, bare and exposed flesh braced against the splinters of that cross, using what precious air he could muster to whisper to the crowds that they are forgiven. We aren't forgiven! We can't be! We have committed an atrocity to mankind, to creation, to the order of all things. I wish I could shout it in the streets, in the synagogues, in front of all those men I killed him with. truly, this man was the Son of God. No, truly, this man was God. Today, the day after his death, where is God now? I will tell you, gone. We have killed him, you and I. All of us are murderers. What were we doing when we unchained this earth from its sun? Where is it moving now? Where are we moving? Now we'll plunge continually, backward and sideward and forward in all directions. Has it not become colder? Isn't night continually closing in on us? Do we not need to light lanterns in the morning? Do we hear the fleeting footsteps of the gravediggers who buried God? Do we smell the divine decomposition? God is dead. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owned, bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there to clean ourselves? What water is there to cleanse myself? Or was his statement genuine? Am I allowed to have hope that God forgives?
I was so young to be carrying the Son of God. It wasn't until my stay with Elizabeth it sank in what that really meant. I was going to bear the Christ, and he would call me mother. When we first met you, my son, you were perfect. Absolutely perfect. As a baby, you had no idea who you were. I fed you, played with you, and watched you belly laugh and coo. As you grew older, I remember you learning how to be a carpenter like Joseph. I remember watching you both pray with our Father day and night. You walked in your calling so willingly, so humbly. I remember seeing your first miracle, turning water to wine. You just went about your Father's business from Nazareth to Jerusalem. It didn't matter where you were. You lived as I knew he was asking you to live. Everywhere you went, I prayed all the time, continuously for you. Every time I heard talk of another miracle spreading throughout the city, I smiled, knowing you were safe and fulfilling prophecy. You were always so calm, so assured. I'm your mother, but you protected me. You always watched out for my heart, my anxieties, my worries. You always cared for me, even hundreds of miles away. I know you prayed for me, and I for you. Because I hoped Yahweh would bless us with so much time together. Maybe you would have a family and I could see you as a father. I wanted to spend decades with you. He must not have listened to those prayers, though, to remind me that you were never mine at all. As I am pondering all these things, when Gabriel told me who I was receiving, he never warned me to prepare for the trauma of losing you the way we did. I used to hear the prophecies with joy, perhaps a little pride. They were about my Yeshua, my little Yeshua. And then as we all watched your last miracle, giving yourself to us on that cross, I saw you fulfill your prophecies and join Jacob and David and all those heroes of our line. Now hearing them stings. Before you were even born, and still now, I have to carry the burden of how your life started and how it ended. Every parent knows death stalks the land, and that it finds everyone. Justly, it should have found me first. No parent wants to bury their child. No parent imagines going through the pain of losing their son. than your father and I lived through yesterday. I didn't know the disdain, the anger, and the brutality you would endure. How could anyone hate such an innocent soul? Neither did I know how you would handle it all. My son, you handled it all only the way a king of kings could, with grace, compassion, and love. I do not know who you inherited that regal spirit from. It wasn't us. I wouldn't have done the same. Yeshua, I don't want to. I really don't, but I have to. Despite all that's happened, I need to lift these hands to Yahweh because I don't understand. He brought you into this world through me, knowing it would be a sacrifice. And even as you died, I don't know how to explain it, but I was overcome with peace. The pain of watching you die was unbearable, but God opened my eyes to see what you meant for mankind. As your mother, that pain was so incredible, but the honor overwhelmed my suffering. I do not know when this agony will end, but I am returning to those treasures I stored up in my heart. God is good that way, isn't he? That he would bury all those treasures for a time like this. To remember not just the suffering, but the beginning. You cannot come to us. But one day we will go to you. Until then, I have peace knowing the spirit of who you were is still with me. I carry you with me everywhere. I see you in my dreams. I hear you in my thoughts. And I know you by our friendship. And nothing is sweeter. No matter how heavy my heart is, I have to raise these hands in hope that, just like Gabriel said, no word from God will ever fail.
Report.
I don't know what to report.
How did the Roman respond?
Anxiety, uncertainty, panic, everything we could want.
Then, your concern?
He was bending, but I don't know if he denied.
For our purposes, wandering is just as good as denial. Seeds are not dangerous as long as they are convinced they are now in an unending drought.
I don't know if that is his state. He is racked with guilt and shame, but that is all I could tell clearly.
He will need more pressing, but in time.
Speaking of time, how long till the buzzards start picking at the trader's bones?
The elder devil was successful then.
That's the thing, Belial. Us elder devils back up our bark with our bite.
You've been quiet, Shaket.
I failed, my lord.
Go on.
The mother, she didn't break.
What happened?
Believe me, I clawed at a clear war that was going on inside, but...
But?
She still lifted prayers to the enemy.
I don't fault you. In fact, I applaud your attempt to oppress such a strong soul. We need more devils with your ambition.
What now?
Float about the city until morning. Listen for talk of the Nazarene. Feed on anyone who is weak, frail, or wavering. Tomorrow, we'll all visit the 11.
The Roman and the mother?
Leave them be for now.
Should Should we see the guards at the tomb? What if the 11 get up to something?
An ambitious idea, but lacking understanding. Listen closely, all of you. Even if they did something with the body, a lie can only go so far. So, we will not waste our time haunting the resting place of the dead.